I think Mataji has a link.
Okay. Actually, some of you may have heard the name of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is considered to be an incarnation of Krishna. It is mentioned that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, every day with another devotee, his name is Gadadhar Pandit, he would hear Prahlad Maharaj's story repeatedly. They would hear so many times, like 108 times. It's the same story, keep on repeating. And then they would also hear Dhruva Maharaj's story and things like that. So Mahaprabhu would hear the pastimes of Prahlad and Nrsimhadev. So similarly, this verse that is displayed here comes from Nrsimha Purana. So there are many Puranas, 18 major Puranas. So Nrsimha Purana is one of them. So from Nrsimha Purana, there is a prediction that in each yuga, which personality comes. So Nrsimha appeared in Satya Yuga. So I think everyone is familiar with Satya Yuga. Treta Yuga is where Rama appeared. Dwapar Yuga is where Krishna appeared. And Kali Yuga is where? Actually, of course, each yuga has multiple incarnations. Primary ones we usually speak about. So this verse actually says something. We will... it's a little difficult meter, so I'll just recite. Satye daitya kuladinasha samaye singhurdva mritye krites tretayam dasakandaram paribhavan rameti namakriti gopalan paripalayan vrajapure bharam haran dvapare Gauranga priya kirtanai kaliyuge Chaitanya nama Prabhu. So this words means in Satya Yuga there was some disease in Daitya family, and that disease is Hiranya kasipu. We're going to talk about him today. And to relieve their family of their disease, Simha Urdhva, the upper Simha, Mritya Kritis. So upper body is Simha and lower body is man, which is Nrsimha appeared. Tretayam Dasha Kandare Paribhavan, to destroy the 10-headed demon Ravana. Rameti Nama Kriti, appeared the name of Rama. Gopalan Paripalayam, to entertain the people of the Gopas of Vrindavan, Rajapuri. Bharam Haran Dwapare. This is another thing we probably, in the context of Kurukshetra war, it is mentioned that Mother Earth is very happy to produce unlimited foodstuffs if people are sattvic, pious, godly. But when people become atheistic, demoniac, Mother Earth feels little painful to nourish them. It's like feeding milk to a poisonous snake. So why do you want to give more milk? It becomes more poisonous. So for that reason, Mother Earth goes to Indra, Brahma, Shiva, and then eventually to Vishnu and requests, oh, Earth is filled with demoniac, selfish kings. So please come and remove the burden. And which is why Krishna appears. So Bharam Haran Dwapare, which is the reason why this Kurukshetra war happens also. So Kurukshetra war was, of course there are many aspects to it. So one of the reasons was to relieve the earth of the burden of demoniac kings. So that was one of the reasons. Of course, on one hand, Krishna did try to stop Kurukshetra war from happening. Since some of you were wondering, why did Krishna instigate Arjuna to kill so many people? So that's one of the reasons. There are many other reasons also. And then finally, in Kali Yuga it is mentioned, Gaura Anga. Gaura Anga means golden body. Gaura Anga. Priya Kirtana. He loves to do Kirtan. Kali Yuga. Chaitanya Nama Prabhu. He will have Chaitanya as his name. He will appear as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Kali Yuga and he will start the Kirtan process. So that's all this verse means. This verse is usually used as a reference to increase our faith that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is indeed Krishna himself. Because in Bengal, everybody knows Mahaprabhu as Krishna. But in Andhra or other parts of India, who is Mahaprabhu? So, just wanted to mention this. Okay. I want to begin with a short story which will be helpful later on. Anybody knows Alexander the Great? Kids history? I'm happy to see. No? They didn't teach you? You know? There is a second mic. Please pass it on to Anish. Please tell me, what did you hear about Mr. Alexander the Great?
So Alexander the Great, he was basically a Greek war general who was very successful, but he wasn't that good of a person. He had many wives. He had 3 wives, and then one of the wives murdered two of the other wives.
Nice. Very beautiful points you mentioned. Let's give him a round of applause. Okay, he has something to say. Wait. Only when you speak. In the mic it counts.
Alexander the Great never lost a war.
He never lost a war. Very important. For this story, all these points are very essential.
Alexander, he was so basically his dad, he tried to make an army with basically a robot army that would never lose a war. So Alexander, all he cared about is war, muscle, and fighting, and that's basically all he cared about. And he wasn't that nice. And also, when he grew up, he wanted everyone to respect him so much that he'd kill anybody if they didn't respect him. And yeah, he did that even in his childhood.
Even in his childhood. Very nice. He knows so much history. Okay, so this lesson will be very, very helpful for you. So Alexander, it is mentioned that Alexander, as Shriyan mentioned and the others mentioned, was not of a high character, but he had good caliber. He knew how to win wars. Never lost a war. And it's not that it's a war between 2 villages. Anyway, I won this village, I am happy. Actually, it is mentioned he raised the war on the entire world. He would win regions, he would conquer regions, and as he was winning and moving on to the next region, he would lose another kingdom here. But he never cared. All right, no problem. I'll complete the circle and come back and take care of them. So that was his mood. So this story, when he was going to conquer India, some of his friends in Greek, they told Alexander the Great, hey, just as we do when people go to, different places have different popularities. So if you go to Germany, please bring some perfume. Or if you go here, please bring some, especially used to happen for me. When I used to come to US, they would say, can you get me some intoxication. I would say, Hare Krishna.
And also wanted to say that Alexander thought himself he was a Greek god and he also said that I'm the grandson of Zeus and stuff like that.
Interesting. So the Greek people requested him that can you bring, I heard that India is popular for sages. So can you bring one sage? We also want to practice some meditation. And he said, fine. So he came to India and he conquered most of India, not all of it, but most of India. And then he found out where sages live. So he went to a deep forest. I hope everyone is here. So Alexander the Great was asked to bring a sage as a gift. and he conquered most of India. He came to the forest and he found a hut, a hermitage of a sage. So his whole army stopped and he sent one of his representatives, saying, okay, please go tell him and ask him to come here. So one of the representatives went and he told the sage, Alexander has come, please come and welcome him. The sage was meditating. As usual, of course, you will see he was self-satisfied. And he didn't really care about Alexander the Great or Alexander the Loser. So he said, not interested, please go. So this person was thinking, Arey, this never usually happens. So he went back to the Alexander the Great and he said, the sage said no. Alexander became furious. He said, what? Me calling someone and they saying no? Like kids were mentioning that he is not used to this. Did you tell him that Alexander the Great, the conqueror of the entire world, he has come? Go back and tell him and bring him here. Again the representative went. Same thing. He came empty-handed and he conveyed. I told him, but he said, no doing anything. I'm not interested. Now Alexander the Great became more furious. He jumped down from his horse and he stormed towards the hermitage and he kicked open the door. And there in distance he saw the sage meditating peacefully. But as soon as Alexander kicked the door, the sage said, oh, welcome, the servant of my servant. He said, welcome, oh, servant of my servant. Alexander the Great first got bewildered. He said, welcome, good, right? Servant of his servant? Now his rage knew no bounds. He took his sword out, came to the sage and about to chop off his head. And suddenly, he remembered, sages, these are sane people only, intelligent people. Why did he say? So somehow his common sense prevailed and he, still angry with a sword in his hand, he said, how dare you call me the servant of your servant? Do you know who I am? I am Alexander the Great. I conquered the entire world. Why did you say that I am the servant of your servant? If you don't give an explanation, I am going to chop off your head. The sage, still smiling, still peaceful, no anger, no fear, he replied, see, you came here, you destroyed all the surroundings of my hermitage. You sent your representative. He was disrespectful, but still I tolerated. You came inside, you broke my door, I still tolerated. I did not become angry because anger is my servant. But on the other hand, you, I told I am not interested to come and you became angry. And you came here and you kicked open the door and uncontrollably you came here to chop off my head because you are controlled by anger. So I control my anger, but your anger controls you. So I can control anger. So anger is my servant, but you are servant of anger. So you are servant of my servant. Then Alexander understood, oh God. He put his sword back, got onto his horse and left. We will understand the moral of this story more later on. But the reason we assembled here, me sitting on this elevated seat, even though without any qualification, just because I have to be visible, I sat here. The point of this story and this session in general is we have many anarthas in our heart. Our Shastras very clearly define what those are. Kama, Krodha, Loga, Mada, Matsarya. So we want to conquer instead of them controlling us and doing things that we sometimes resolve not to do. We want to gain some control over them. We want to be able to say no to them. That's why we all assembled here. So I thought I'll begin with this story. And today, specifically, we're going to talk about 6 lessons over next 45 minutes or so. Maybe I'm not intending to cover all 6. Maybe if we do 3, great. If we do 4, please consider this as a bonus. But before we begin, I would like all of you to join your palms and kindly offer a prayer that whatever you may hear today and whatever we may speak here today, I'm also a neophyte, new devotee, struggling with many of the things that we're going to discuss today here. So please kindly offer a prayer for yourself and for everyone here, but certainly for me as well, that whatever we are able to speak today here, please, if Krishna so desires, let He give us the strength to say no to these demoniac tendencies within our heart and feed the divine tendencies in our heart. Thank you for considering our request. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Everyone may be familiar with the story of Hiranya kasipu. But in case if you are not, who can tell me this story? We will begin with kids and then adults can. I don't know if it's visible enough, clear enough. There are 2 blue persons standing near a gate apparently. I don't know, Gopal is here, okay. I was telling him this story. There are 4 puppy shame boys. Okay, anyone knows this story? Okay, Janvi, go ahead. And maybe after that, Chaitra ji also.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. We will do parts. Part 1.
The basic story is that Jaya Vijaya.
Yes, this is Jay and Vijay.
So they prevent them from entering into Lord's abode.
So these are 4 Kumaras who are actually sons of Lord Brahma, Manasuputras. Just by thinking, actually these are the first 4 living entities born to Brahma. They were born many trillions of years ago. Apparently Brahma is 50 years old according to his calculation. His lifespan is around 300 plus trillion years. So around 150 trillion year old. But when Brahma generated these 4 children, he said, Baba, many living entities want to come to this material world and enjoy. So please think of some scheme to produce children. They said, Papa, we are not interested in this business. We want to remain brahmacharis. In fact, we want to remain a small innocent child like. So they are like 5-year-old eternally. Not eternally, meaning at least for the Brahma's life. Okay, please go on.
So they prevent them from entering the abode, and so they curse them, saying that you will be born as basically you'll be born as a demon in the next life or so, and then they can't. They immediately apologize and they beg them forgiveness, and since they can't undo a curse, they say you have to choose among 2 options: either
Closer.
either be born as Mahan, devotee person for 7 years, or
7 lives.
for 7 lives, or as a demonic person for 3 lives. So they don't want to stay away from Lord for too long, so they choose demon lives as for the 3 lives, and that is they become the primary demons in every yuga, like Hiranyakashipu and his brother, and then Ravana, and then they come back.
We'll give her a round of applause. Now Chaitra ji will explain whatever else that may be remaining, in case if you want to add anything.
A little bit different, little bit of deviation is that after they were cursed, actually Narayana he comes out and then he says that they are like the devotees and they are here and they were just doing their job. So it is not thing to, to kind of send them to earth. And he being very kind, and then they understood that part and they gave that option. What do you want to do? And they didn't want to stay for 7 lives away from the Lord. So they chose that it's we want to return to you as soon as possible. So it's okay if we have to be the other thing. So as she mentioned, like Ravana and Kumbhakarna, Hiranyakashipu and his brother Hiranyaksha, and there's one more.
Shishupala.
This, Shishupala.
Oh yeah, not Shishupala.
So very nice. We'll give our answer. It's actually a very beautiful story. Srimad Bhagavatam has many more details. Actually, this is foretold by Lakshmi, Srimad Bhagavatam says. And then there are different variations. Vishnu wanted to enjoy Virya Rasa. Sometimes Shriyan and Gopal these days, because of Narsimha Chaturdasi, Shri Gopal is wearing Narsimha mask and he wants to fight. He wants me to act as Hiranyakashipu and we fight. And looking at that, Shriyan also wants to do karate and other fights also. So kids also want to just have fun fighting. So Lord Vishnu, because he is Akhila Rasamrita Murti, all rasas exist in him also. So he wanted to enjoy Virya Rasa, a rasa of fighting. But all the demons of this world are insignificant ants. So he needed worthy opponents. So actually, Lord Vishnu himself, actually in Bhagavatam, he says, I only orchestrated this whole episode of 4 Kumaras coming and the Jai Vijay stopping them and 4 Kumaras becoming uncontrollably angry and cursing them. And then this 7 and 3. Of course, he also gives them the boon that even though you will be demoniac and you will hate me, you will always remember me. So that's the boon Lord Vishnu gives to Jai and Vijay. This is one thing we will notice. Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, they're constantly thinking of Krishna only. Narada Muni actually in Bhagavatam, he says, sometimes these demons are actually thinking more than devotees. He says, of course, that's not really true. But, okay. And it is mentioned after the curse, Kashyapa Muni and Diti, they united at a wrong time. And both Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were born. Again, Srimad Bhagavatam has a lot of details. 100 celestial years, Diti tries to keep those demons in her womb because she sees all bad signs and she's thinking, what mistake did I make? Oh, I united at an inappropriate time because of which these demons are, and they're going to create a havoc. So she did her best to withhold, but eventually Hiranyaksha is born. It's a long story, and today's focus is not Hiranyaksha, so we will forgive him. He's killed by Varahadev. Anyone knows Varahadev? Kids? Good. Varahadev. So we should please go home. This is homework for parents. And after Hiranyaksha was killed, he died. This is what Bhagavatam mentions. I would like you to read. We will give the mic to Sahasra, and she will read. I hope you're able to see. Okay, so she will read these, and as you are reading this, again, this is very deep philosophy. I would like you to understand what this verse translation means, and I would also like you to think who might be speaking this. Okay, please go on. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 2nd chapter, verse 21. By the way, since we have a new guest, what's your good name?
Shruti.
Shruti. Have we met before? No? Okay. So we welcome Shruti ji.
In a restaurant, travelers are brought together, continue to their respective destinations. Similarly, living entities based on karma
come together. So, as Hiranyaksha died, everybody is lamenting. His mother, his wife, children, everybody is naturally lamenting. So one personality comes here and he quotes these verses. He says, just as in a restaurant, I'm sure we all have experience. We go sit in a table and others are also sitting on other tables. They come, they drink water, they eat food and they leave. We are there together in that restaurant for some time, and as soon as we are done with our food, we leave. So similarly, based on our karma, I mean, restaurant maybe for 1 hour, but this is one lifetime. The point here is this relations we have here within these families is temporary. That's the point he was trying to communicate, so that the family who is crying, they feel relieved. Okay, all right. Okay, what was the second verse?
The spirit soul, the living entity, has no death, for he is eternal. He is fully aware of and completely different from the material body, but because of being misled by the misuse of his slight independence.
So here in this verse, he is mentioning the spirit soul, which is the Atma in the body, has no death. Everyone understands this point? Soul has no death, has no beginning, never came into being, never will perish. So, but he is eternal and he is completely different from the material body. So to all his family members who are crying, he's saying his only body fell down, his Atma remains. So except Shriyan and Shyamukumari, of course. What's the fun, Adri? I would like you to guess, maybe Mohit Prabhu also. We would like you to guess who might be speaking these verses. We will begin from this side. Narada Muni. Can we give him a round of applause? Because Narada Muni comes all along in Srimad Bhagavatam, giving philosophy and inspiration all along. But unfortunately, the answer is wrong. We will take one from this side. Any guesses? Who might be speaking these verses?
My dad, he just said
That is Sahasra who spoke those verses. So.
Sahasra.
Any guesses? It's alright. I mean, to be wrong, it's okay. No guesses? Okay, now we open it to Mohit Prabhu. Any guesses? You're Mohit Prabhu? Actually, these verses are actually spoken by Hiranya Kashipu. Wow, interesting. And the same Hiranyakashipu, earlier and later on, speaks these verses. Hiranyakashipu, he says, he remembers the death of his brother and he became envious of Lord Vishnu. And he was thinking, oh, this Lord Vishnu, he came as Varaha, tricked my brother, did something and he killed my brother. And he's saying, I shall sever Lord Vishnu's head from his trunk. I'll cut off the head of Vishnu only. With profuse blood from his body, I'll take that blood and offer to my brother Hiranyaksha, who loved drinking other people's blood. I didn't put the rest of the verse here. So the same Hiranyakashipu was speaking this philosophy. Again, Hiranyakashipu, when he was speaking, he was saying, Arey Atma, it's okay, don't worry, just like, yeah, it's okay, this is all bound to happen. But in other places, saying, this Vishnu, he killed my brother, I'm going to take revenge against him, I'm going to kill him. So the first lesson for today, out of the 3 or 4 lessons we're going to learn, is Hiranyakashipu represents hypocrisy. He speaks, he knows the philosophy, but when it comes to practice, to put it into practice, all philosophy is for others. For practice, it's okay. How are you expected to control emotions like that? So he says, he thinks like that. So, the point, I mean, this is very, very close to my heart. I keep remembering this because I am very much attracted to knowledge. So when I read books, I'm sure many of you will also have this tendency. It's all right. We long for information because we have so many unanswered questions in life. Why this? Why this? Why does Vishnu want his nice devotees to be cursed and be cast into the material world? Why does he has to instigate Arjuna to kill so many millions of people? Why do bad things happen to good people? And more importantly, why do bad things, no, did I say that already? Why do good things happen to bad people? And I can tolerate some bad is happening because I must have done something. But this person always does more bad than me, but he is getting all good. So many questions like that. So we are interested in philosophy, information, which is fine. But in bhakti, the process is we are not reading books or attending sessions for information. That could be one of the side effects. But the main effect we should all look for is transformation. Because ultimately, even if we hear just one sentence and it results in some transformative change in our heart, in our lifestyle, in our habits, in our speech, in our attitude, in our outlook, then that one sentence is all glorious. But we hear hundreds and thousands of books and we become proud and arrogant. All that Bhagavatam says, all that knowledge is a turban on somebody's head, which is very heavy. Is not a decorative thing, it becomes a burden on somebody's head. So knowledge or philosophy alone is actually not bhakti. So bhakti is a different content. It's the content of the heart. Knowledge and philosophy is the content of the mind, the intellect. Too much knowledge without practice, useless, in many cases dangerous also. So one thing I urge, as usual, is to have some practice. Whatever we hear, to some extent, if we can put into practice, it really benefits a lot. We will be able to digest the knowledge we have heard and put it into practice to some extent. And here is a quote from our spiritual teacher who comes here once in a couple of years. He is a very popular person in our spiritual circles. He's an amazing, extraordinary devotee with great humility. If you see him outside, you probably may not recognize him, but so he's here during this weekend. So if you, unless have a great emergency, I highly request and recommend you to come and take the association. This week we'll actually have the association of 3 great souls. And tomorrow we have a temple in ISKCON temple in Mountain View. We have a program at 11 o'clock. By 10:30, unlike the program here, by 10:30 there, it's going to be fully packed. So if you want to have any hope of getting in, I recommend coming before 10:30 and get a front seat. You will be thoroughly entertained and purified at the same time. So he has this quote. Can I request, come in. Can you read this quote? Will you be able to?
The Bhagavad Gita, with its only knowledge, is there for everybody unless we have humility, devotion, and eagerness to serve. We cannot digest the knowledge. Digest the knowledge.
I hope it is self-explanatory. So unless we have humility, devotion and eagerness to serve, all these are prerequisites to digest the knowledge that we consume. Otherwise it only causes indigestion. So the opposite of hypocrisy is honesty. It begins with honesty. So we are honest with ourselves. Yeah, actually I also have these tendencies to at least accept that, okay, yeah, I'm not great. I mean, I used to think I'm great, but maybe I'm not. And then humility, to actually become humble in front of the Supreme Lord, in front of the teachers, so we can actually assimilate the knowledge being given to them, given by them. And of course, read Srila Prabhupada books for transformation, not information and practice. That concludes lesson number 1. So lesson 1 is about hypocrisy. Here is the second lesson. And the story continues. After Hiranyaksha died, Hiranyakashipu first told the philosophy. Later, he said, okay, I'm going to take revenge against Lord Vishnu. And he did great tapasya. Tapasya, Lord Brahma mentions, this type of tapasya that you did was never done in the past and will never be done in the future. For 100 celestial years, it is mentioned demigods in Swargaloka, our 1 year is like 1 day for them. I will not do mathematics here, but Hiranyakashipu did tapasya for 100 celestial years. So please go home and do the calculation. Probably 365 years like that?
Yeah.
Maybe more. 100 years like that. So, what tapasya did he do? Not that he woke up in the morning at 7 o'clock, brush his teeth, eat full breakfast, and then like we go to office, then work for few hours, check Facebook once in a while, or do other things, and then come back home and switch on Netflix. And it is mentioned, for these 100 celestial years, he did not drink a drop of water also. He was standing on the toes of his feet. I don't know, anybody tried? We will maybe try later on. After a couple of stories, we will try this. He was standing on his toes. Okay, all the 3 kids, please get up.
One leg, right? One leg.
One leg, 1, 2, that's technically impossible.
Well, we'll try. Yeah, let's see.
Stand in one leg, then go to toes. No, don't
Toes,
stand with toes. Stand in one leg first, now go to toes. Yeah, there you go. Balance it. Balance with one leg, then go to toes.
Okay, I'm worried about one. And the hands raised upward like this.
What challenge?
You should, and they are not able to do for a few seconds. Because of his great austerity, again, these are all difficult to understand for us. These are all mystic powers that people, if they're able to control their senses to such an extent, it is mentioned that there was some effulgent fire coming out of his head that was burning the upper planetary systems and lower planetary systems. And all the demigods went to Lord Brahma and said, "Oh, Brahma, please take care of this crazy guy. We are not able to live in our places, in our planets." So Brahma, he comes down and he gives the boons, which we know. But before that, the second lesson is about material austerities. Actually, very interestingly, Hiranyakashipu did all this for one thing. He actually wanted to be deathless. He did not want to die. Brahma comes, first immediately asks one boon only: I want to be deathless. I want to be completely powerful. I want to conquer the entire universe. Brahma said, deathless? Even I have to die after 344 trillion years. Long, but still I have to die. So I can't give you something that I don't have. Please ask for something else. Then of course Hiranyakashipu asked a series of boons that many of us are familiar with. This: I should not be killed in the air, not on the ground. Not inside the house, outside the house. Not in the morning, not at night. I should not be killed by any living entity created by you. I should not be killed by human beings, animals. Anything like that? Any more?
No
I shouldn't be killed by weapons. Anything else we missed?
Inside the home.
Inside the home, outside the home.
Daytime, nighttime.
Daytime, nighttime.
Not like earth or sky.
Earth or sky. Okay, we are repeating, so I think we were done. I think he was more intelligent. He covered all corner cases. If else conditions, all he took care.
Nah, demons are so dumb. They can just do this. I want to die when I want to die.
See, there was one demon called Bhasmasur. He effectively asked this only. He in fact said, I should be able to kill anyone that I intended to kill. So anyone I put my hand on, I should be able to kill them. Of course, they know they're little intelligent. Actually, demons are not dumb. Demons are very intelligent. Demoniac people are actually more intelligent than us. Human beings are considered to be one of the less intelligent, less powerful people. Which is why Ravana, when he asked for boons for Brahma, he asked, demigod shouldn't be able to kill me, Gandharvas, Charanas, like that he gives different types of living entities. He thought, if I ask for humans, people will ridicule me. Humans are insignificant people. Why bother even ask? Of course so we know Rama took birth in humans. So anyway, the point I was trying to make for you. So he got all these boons for Brahma. But in the end, we know how the story ends. On the other hand, Prahlad Maharaj, whom we will see here more about, he didn't do any austerities. All he did was chant Vishnu's name always. He nicely danced with his friends, ate nice prasadam, came for Gita sessions like this, with Narada Muni, of course. And that's it. And for him, Vishnu himself personally appeared many times to protect him, save him from dangers. So, the second lesson we want to impress upon all of you is this. Material austerities, it is mentioned in people in ignorance, they torture their own bodies in the name of austerities. And later on, when Hiranyakashipu got the powers, he tortured other people's bodies. So it's not good. So instead, what is recommended is spiritual austerities. It is mentioned austerities actually give us control over our senses. Like for example, Srikanji, I was offering him some prasadam earlier. He said, we are fasting today. I know many of you also fast on special days. Today is Ekadashi, by the way. So it's like discount days. You know, right before Diwali, they have 80% off, 90% off. So Ekadashi is like that. So Ekadashi days is, Krishna is so intelligent. He knows these Kali Yuga people, hopeless case. I have to give, of course, modern business people take advantage of this. They put $1,000 price for a $10 item. It's a 90% discount. And 90% discount, then I will buy. So similarly, Ekadashi is like that 90% off sale. So with a little bit austerity here and there, we are given much more valuable than what we do. So when we do austerities, we gain self-control, sense control over our senses. We, over time, we will be able to control our lust, anger, greed, pride, envy and jealousy. The second thing is our body is actually a temple for two reasons. One, this is not our body. We think this is my body, I can do whatever nonsense I want. People think like this. Sorry sir, this body wasn't yours. You never designed it in the first place. It was given to you as a gift by the Supreme Lord based on your karma. So we are actually merely leasing this body for a fixed amount of time. And it is mentioned Paramatma sitting in our heart. He is the one who guides. We only express our desire. Krishna, can you please raise my hand? Krishna says, all right, I will take care. And then he raises the hand. Of course, we are not aware of this intricate details that are happening in the body. Such a beautiful machine. We are not aware of this detail. But because Krishna is residing as Paramatma in our body, this body is compared to a temple. Prabhupada writes in the 4th canto of Bhagavatam, our body is a moving temple, he says. So that's why when we see any Vaishnava, we actually offer obeisances. Of course, for two reasons. One is Krishna is in their heart, so we offer obeisances to them. And that he is a devotee also. So when we are torturing the body, like demons do, we want to be careful. So we want to do austerities only for purification. Like politicians do this 30-day, what do they call this? They don't eat fighting for some political cause.
I mean, Hindi they call Diksha.
Nirahara Diksha. Nirahara, fasting. Nirahara. So that's not recommended. We better fast on Ekadashi instead. So when we do spiritual austerities, we do with proper attitude. What is the intention why we do? We should know that also. Many times it's just a family sentiment. So why do you fast on Ganesh Chaturthi? My mother told me to. And then as a child, I am guilty of this. As long as I am fasting, I used to think, when will the fasting end? When will I get to drink some juice? Even though we are sitting in the puja, our look is towards kitchen only. Looking, when will this end? When will I be able to eat something? So that's not the proper attitude. So we should know what the proper attitude, and we should do it under guidance of someone superior who knows what is the essence, and time, place, circumstance, they are able to guide us. Okay, so that is the second lesson. So as soon as Brahma came and he gave the boons to Hiranyakashipu, it is mentioned that when he was doing austerities, he did such great tapasya that ants formed an ant hill, and the ants ate away most of his body, all the flesh, except bones, all the flesh was gone, the skin, the blood, everything was eaten away by ants. But he was still tolerating. He was thinking, no, I should get these powers from Brahma. Somehow or the other he tolerated. And again, these are all detailed, complex subjects.
The ants ate up his head and his brain too.
According to this picture, only part of his body. So when Brahma came and gave these boons, he regained his youthful self, and he conquered. He went, except Brahma, Bhagavatam says, except Brahma, Shiva and Lord Vishnu, he conquered everyone above, everyone below. And to such an extent, our third lesson, he was free from old age. There are some yogic perfections called, we see some Babas do this. Out of thin air, they produce some ashes. Some people, they're able to bring apples. I mean, I know few of my relatives who are devotees of some Babas. So they go and they have seen. I mean, some people say, no, there is apple under his table. He just takes it like that. But I know some people who have these powers like this. People who are able to predict the future. People who are able to bring out apples from thin air. And these are all mystic perfections. They are called Ashtasiddhis.
There's like a Baba who came, he called Western doctors, and then so he
take a mic and so others can hear. And if you want to speak, you may raise the hand so I can stop at an appropriate time and give you an opportunity. Please go ahead.
So he asked the Western doctors to record his heartbeat and everything, and then he said that he got up and just left.
So while he was lying down, doctors did all sorts of tests and they confirmed that he was actually dead. There was no symptoms of life. You need something?
The storage is running low on the phone.
Very good.
But it's telecasting
It's
live,
content.
right?
It's still content.
I hope so.
No, actually, it gives a message before it runs out. So probably after
So we need some mystic powers to make some space. So he was almost deathless. He actually conquered the entire universe. Can you imagine? These presidents, they're fighting. Trump is fighting tooth and nail to become one more term, 4 more years for an insignificant land called America. So, but Hiranyakashipu, he became the emperor of the entire universe. Swargaloka, all the Janatapa, Maharloka, and all Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Patala, all these planets, he was the only king. Not only that, he stopped all Vedic sacrifices. So right now in Andhra, if you go, there are at least thousands of gods. Every family has different combinations of gods and they worship. In Hiranyakashipu time, only one god. If they worshipped anybody else, only Hiranyakashipu. And unlike now, everybody has to wake up in the morning for Mangalarati and chant his name. It is mentioned, I think it'll probably come here. He went and conquered, kicked Indra out of his palace. These are all very powerful personalities, by the way. He had his eye on Nandanandana palace garden. He kicked Indra out of his palace. He got all the apsaras for himself. His entire, of course, his house, we here talk about, we have a 5-bedroom. Recently, some people bought a house in Tracy and all that side. They have 5-bedroom house and they're thinking, in America I have 5-bedroom house like that. So, but Hiranyakashipu had thousands of bedrooms. His palatial buildings, and they were rich. Bhagavatam gives very detailed. In the entire wall was made with Vaidurya stones, diamonds. Very, very, and just for his pleasure, there were beautiful women standing and decorating and smiling just to serve him. Sir, you want one more apple? Please take. And people in Tamogun, they say, all they need is wine. Say, this is enough. He also had access to all sorts of wines. And demigods were personally serving him. Sir, you want, he would kick one leg out. Chandra, Indra, Varuna would massage his leg. Another demigod, whomever I don't want to take any names anyway. So everyone, they had no way to escape, because if they did not serve him, he would just kill them. He was so powerful, so intoxicated by pride, everybody were just serving him. And they would bring him everyday gifts. And not only that, they would have to glorify him also. Every day they would come and say, "Oh, Hiranyakashipuji, you are so magnanimous, so great that the entire world is worshipping you. Only you can control this world like this." So they had to, every day. So by power, he controlled the inhabitants of other planets also. Even Narada Muni, who is a pure devotee, Vidyadharas, Apsaras, Kinnaras, Kimpurushas, all different types of living entities, they were all controlled by him. They would offer glorifications, prayers. Many of the people had to compose verses glorifying him. And even earth, out of fear, gave abundant food stuff in all seasons. The outer world. So Hiranyakashipu would come out and think, today night sky looks a little boring. Immediately all the celestial planets in the sky, they would think, oh God, what if he becomes angry on us? And they would create some mesmerizing, some star would shoot from here, some light show or something like that for him.
Unfair. I know.
Just so that they, all these people were thinking, if Hiranyakashipu becomes angry, oh God. And oceans supplied all kinds of gems and jewels. Trees in the valleys produce fruits and flowers in all seasons. If Hiranyakashipu thought, I want that, what is that? Banganapalli mango. Immediately. In winter, rainy season doesn't matter. And by the way, Banganapalli mango is a very famous mango in Andhra, I think world famous, dare I say, but very popular. I'm just giving an example. You can assume whatever fruit you like. Can you imagine? As soon as you think juicy sapota, your favorite, fill in the blank.
Chocolate.
Call it. Hiranyakashipu is of modern generation. Swiss chocolate. And not only that, raining whenever he wanted rain, wind, drying whenever he wanted sun. He felt a little cold, he would look at sun. Sun out of here, oh, I'm coming. Night time, daytime, doesn't matter. So he controlled all demigods. And the story I mentioned earlier is in the context of this. I'm going to make a quiz here. Okay. Any of you who already saw it? You got the answer.
We forgot that.
Okay. So in spite of, okay, I want one volunteer, someone who can read. Yes, we will give her the mic. Will you be able to read? Can you read English? Okay, someone else?
In spite of the achieving the power to control in all directions and in spite of enjoying all types of dear sense, great fraction as much as possible, Hiranyakashipu was dissatisfied because
Thank you. We'll give her a round of applause. Good job. Now, this is the concluding, amazing part. Can you imagine? He was the emperor, controller of the entire world. Everybody was glorifying him. Whatever he wanted was readily available. Since there are children, I will not describe his name, but Hiranyakashipu actually means golden, and he had the company of opposite gender whenever he wanted, how many ever he wanted. But still, despite of enjoying all types of dear sense gratification, whatever we long for, I wish I don't have this disease when I eat this. I'm able to go out in snow and come back without cold. He was able to enjoy all sorts of whatever we long for to the fullest extent for many, many years. And still he was dissatisfied. Bhagavatam gives a final statement like this. This is such a powerful statement. And it says, because those of you, please be honest, who didn't see, can take a guess. What do you think could be the reason? Why wasn't he not satisfied? He had whatever we look for.
I saw the answer. I'm not going to reveal that, but I have an alternate answer. He was dissatisfied because he got everything, right? So when you're playing the game, level 1, you keep on winning. You don't play the game. You want a more challenge. You want a more challenge. Like you're not satisfied with what you get. You're satisfied with the challenge and achieving and accomplishing. He's not getting that because everybody is afraid of him. Like, what does he even want, right?
Okay. Valid point. Okay. What other thoughts? Why could he be dissatisfied?
He's not getting angry anymore because he's getting all the things whatever he wants.
Apparently not. Bhagavatam says, he had some relapses. Sometimes demigods also thought, looks like he became a little peaceful these days. Let's not glorify him enough. So, and then he would kick them with his leg or maybe chastise or beat them with his weapons like that. Okay.
Because of the material attachment to all the things. So material attachment always gives temporary certification, not a permanent certification. So
very nice point. We'll give him a song. Okay. Any other comments?
So he is not getting excited because there is no target for him to achieve.
Yeah.
It was,
No performance of SL.
so he didn't have the next exciting target to go for. Similar point to what Mataji was mentioning. Okay. Any other points?
So he started with the desire that he wants to kill Vishnu. And that's, I think...
No, that's one of the goals. But this is the other goal also. Demons, they want happiness and they want now. Yes, Abhishek.
He was basically getting bodily satisfaction but not the satisfaction of the soul. So
Very beautiful. So he was getting bodily satisfaction but not the satisfaction. Let's give him a energy point and they're related. Let me do Control Z. I hope answer it clearly. Okay, so Bhagavatam says he was dissatisfied because instead of controlling his senses, he remained their servant. This you will only hear in a spiritual session. The entire world actually is trying to encourage all living entities in this world to say, yes, please pursue your whatever desires you have. Just go behind them. Just do it. Don't worry about the repercussions. Just do it. But many people have this misunderstanding, especially the youth. They say, oh, my parents, they give us so many rules and restrictions. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't eat this. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't say this. You shouldn't think like this. They say there is no freedom only. I want to do whatever I want to do. Anyone feels like that? I mean, I'm sure we as growing up felt like that. We as wives or husbands may feel sometimes like that. We as children may feel like that. But Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, who was here recently, he mentions there are two types of freedoms. He says, freedom for the senses to do whatever they want to do. We have this analogy of the 5 horses of the chariot, the charioteer and the passenger. With the 5 horses, each of them want to go in different directions. It's a hell of a ride for the passenger. So when the senses are uncontrolled and they are dragging in different directions, today this, tomorrow something else, so then the living entity will be completely chaotic in his life, completely dissatisfied, frustrated in his lifestyle. But on the other hand, the freedom to do whatever the senses wants to do instead of doing whatever the senses wants to do, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says, the freedom to do what we are meant to do, not what the senses want. I mean, today sitting here, we may be able to say, yes, I'm going to wake up in the morning, control my diet, control my senses, do this. But I'm sure all of us have this experience. We resolved not to do certain things that we are not proud of, to say the least. But somehow, it feels like we are not the one who is under the control. Sometimes we are being pulled, pushed. So Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says, that's not freedom. If we are being pushed against our own will, our own desire, our own resolve, that's not freedom. He says, if we have real freedom means to do what we are meant to do. If we are able to gain control of our senses and do what we are meant to do. As human beings, we are meant to Atato Brahma Jignasa. We are supposed to inquire about the absolute truth. Are all living entities are coming. Tree is born. I am also born. Dog is also there. So many living entities are taking birth. All of them are dying. I mean, it's not that I love my children. Even dog loves their children as much as we love. So what's the speciality about human life? Only in human life can we actually inquire about the absolute truth and think about how can I put a full stop for this cycle of birth, old age, disease and death, which is the main problems of this life. So that's the question we should all aspire to find answers for. And in order to do that, if we want to find answers for that, this is such a subtle process. It's not that there is a frequently asked questions page and all the answers will be there and that's it. Life settled. No, unfortunately it's not. It's a journey. And many of that requires hard choices of not following our senses, to be able to say no to our senses. So, and Hiranyakashipu represents this principle. We were giving this talk in temple many years ago. So I was mentioning Brahma and all the demigods knew that Hiranyakashipu is eventually going to be dissatisfied. So why did they give him all these boons in the first place? Number one, of course, demigods, they are actually not independent. Demigods are like a sale person. Let's say you go to a shop and you pay $10 for a soap. They are supposed to give you whatever you are buying. It's not like, okay, I will show my mercy onto you. I will give you. No, we don't think like that. Sir, I paid $10, you give me. That's it. So demigods are like that. They are business transactional. You have karma? Alright. Then I will give you this. You don't have karma? Sorry. So demigods are bound to, because Hiranyakashipu did the austerity. So that is one level to understand. But why did Krishna give such an example of Hiranyakashipu? Why did Krishna allow Hiranyakashipu to have so much of it and still be dissatisfied? We were mentioning that how Krishna wanted to set this example and destroy our illusion. We usually think, oh, my company is a $1 billion company. That's why they are not giving good bonuses. But if I move to know Nvidia, now 1 trillion valuation, 2 trillion valuation. They are giving RSUs, I heard. There I will be more happy. Apple. They will introduce newer products if I go to a better company. Oh, currently I am a senior staff engineer. But if I can become technologist, no, then people will respect me. Everybody will consider me subject matter expert. They will invite me for all meetings. Then I will be more happy. Like that. So we have, in our small world, we have our own illusions. So Krishna wanted to destroy this illusion once for all. We think, Arey, California weather, no? I wish summers were little colder, winters were little more hotter. Then that would be the perfect situation for me. So we think like that. But unfortunately, Hiranyakashipu had even better. For us, AC is only inside the house. We go outside, too hot, too cold. Hiranyakashipu, AC was there all around. Wherever he went, AC only. Perfect temperature to his liking. He didn't even have to speak out. Demigods understood his mind. But despite that, he was still dissatisfied. So Krishna wanted to destroy this illusion of ours. That okay, by making some material adjustment here and there, only if I had better children, better spouse, better job, better car, better house, whatever, you fill in the blanks. I am sure each of you have a long list. Each of us are thinking, only if this is better, then I would be more happy. Actually, no. Actually, it is mentioned, Krishna is such an expert that he uses our karma, whatever we desire and whatever we deserve, but still he is so merciful, he uses both of these in such an intelligent way that at any point we can turn to Krishna and undisturbed we can actually practice devotional service. There is no excuse for any of us to say, oh, I have this disease, I am not able to wake up in the morning, or I am not able to chant, or I am not able to do this aspect of devotional service. Oh, only I wish my children listen to me, I can do better devotional service. Oh, my parents, if they raised us with more God consciousness, then I would have become more. No excuses like that, unfortunately. So Krishna arranges everything so perfectly at any point. The only thing that's lacking is our sincerity. As soon as we become little more sincere, why am I suffering? Is there an answer to all this? Why are people crazy about Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam? All these ISKCON people always talking about Hare Krishna only. So let's If we become little sincere and genuinely try to inquire and understand, you'll be amazed actually. You'll be amazed how there is help all along. So the cure to this longing of material accumulation is service. Actually, many of us, we think if I get more, then I'll be happy. Actually, it's the opposite. If I give more, I'll be happy. That's people, those who are used to giving. I know many of you, actually not many of you, all of you cook every week without break for so many weeks and do different services to your family, outside your family, to society, to God in general. So I'm sure all of you have this experience. When you do something as a service, to the extent it is selfless, to that extent you actually feel more happy. So, and then ultimately the final point, when we do service to pure devotees, that's when we actually find the deepest satisfaction of the heart. So we will then be able to convert our material lust into spiritual love. Okay, so I will stop here and take few reflections. By the way, for the sake of completion, maybe I'll complete the pastime. Maybe some other time we will. Hiranyakashipu versus modern man. Okay. So the story of, because Narsimha Chaturdasi is coming, so I thought, okay, I'll just finish the story in 5 minutes. All of us are familiar, but it's good to refresh our minds. For those of you who may not be familiar, you can remember this. So as Hiranyakashipu was controlling this whole entire world, demigods come to know that Kayadu, the wife of Hiranyakashipu, is pregnant. And they were thinking Hiranyakashipu became a terrorist after his austerities and maybe later on. But this son of Hiranyakashipu, he might be more dangerous than him. So let us kidnap Kayadu, and as soon as she delivers, let us kill this demoniac son. So as they are taking away Kayadu, Narada Muni comes and he stops them. And he says, Kayadu actually is carrying Prahlad. And then he gives a story of how when everybody was being tortured by Hiranyakashipu, everyone unanimously prays to Vishnu. And Vishnu, he says, the end time for Hiranyakashipu is coming soon. When he tortures his own son, who is divine, his son Prahlad, his end, the beginning of his end. So that's how Kayadu was carrying Prahlad. Narada Muni takes her to his ashram, and every day he would recite Bhagavatam to her, Krishna Katha. And then you might know this famous pastime of how one day Kayadu was so tired, every day she would, as she was hearing, she would say, But that day, Narada Muni, as he was reading, and of course he is in ecstasy, as he was narrating, he heard a different voice. And after some time, he did a different voice, and he opened, and he saw Kayadu sleeping, like some of you are feeling. Laughing, everybody is laughing. So, the Kayadu was, Narada Muni saw Kayadu sleeping, but then he continued the story, and then he saw the sound is coming from the womb of Kayadu, and then Prahlad Maharaj was hearing. Prahlad Maharaj takes birth, and he grows up in the ashram of Narada Muni for a few more years, and he becomes a great devotee, which is why it is mentioned spirituality or any good qualities for that matter need to be given from a young age. Then it becomes natural. The later on we take, it becomes more difficult. And then eventually Hiranyakashipu finds out where Kayadu is. He brings Kayadu and Prahlad Maharaj back to his home. And before these happen, Bhagavatam actually mentions Hiranyakashipu was very, very loving to his son. He puts his son on his lap, tears gliding down his eyes with affection, kissing him, smelling his hair and hugging him. He was asking, "Oh, my dear child, what did you learn from school today?" Just like we asked. Very affectionate. And Prahlad Maharaj, I don't know where Gopal is. Gopal, are you here? Prahlad says, he says one verse that comes in Bhagavatam. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Bandhanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. So these are 9 different processes of devotional service. Anyway, we will have another session. So he basically glorifies Lord Vishnu. That's it. There is one button on Hiranya kasipu. That's a do not touch button. That is Vishnu button. As soon as he heard Hari, that's it. He became enraged with anger. The same child he was hugging, because he was not able to control his senses, he was a puppet in the hands of his senses. He became angry and he immediately, this 5-year-old, chubby, tender, small child, he immediately threw him on the floor. He said, "How dare you recite the name of Vishnu?" And he gives him few more chances to, but eventually Prahlad Maharaj still says Vishnu, Vishnu. And then he says, "Please take this Prahlad, who is a red mark on our family history." He tries to get him crushed by elephants. He puts them in the snake pit to be bitten by snakes. He puts him in burning oil. He gets poked by trishuls, tridents. He gets him thrown from the cliff of mountains. You might know the story of Holika, how the name Holi has appeared. Story for another time. He tries to burn him, poison him. All sorts of... He tried to kill Prahlad all, whatever ways you can imagine. But still he was unsuccessful. Frustrated, he asks, "Where are you getting this strength from?" And Prahlad says, "My dear father, the same person who is giving you this strength, he is giving me that strength." And then, of course, Hiranyakashipu asks, "Where is your Hari?" And then Prahlad, of course, as you know, he says, he is in this pillar. The Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a very beautiful verse. Satyam vidatum nijabritya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshu akileshu chatmanaha adrishyat atyad bhutarupamudvahat stambhe sabhayam namrigam namanusham. This verse says, Satyam vidatum nijabritya bhashitam. Just to make the words of Prahlad Maharaj true, because Prahlad Maharaj said, "Is your Hari in this pillar?" Prahlad says, "Yes." Then Vishnu is thinking, "Okay, alright. Since my devotee said yes, I have no choice but to appear from pillar." Satyam vidatum nijabritya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshu akileshu chatmanaha. He is there in every atom, every living entity. Adrishya tatyadbhuta. Adrishya, I mean never seen form. Adbhuta, mahadbhuta, wonderful form. He appeared in that wonderful form. And Stambhe sabhayam. The sabha, the sambhayam. Na mrigam is not mriga. Na manusham. He is not man also. So, and he appeared in that form. Narsimha Bhagavan ki jai. And he fought with Hiranyakashipu like an insect. Actually, he played for some time because, again, remember the pastime of he actually wanted to enjoy Virya Rasa. It is mentioned here in Narsimha Bhagavan appeared in the afternoon. He played till evening. Remember the boon. Actually, Lord Narsimha, it's not that in my childhood I used to think that Vishnu, because Brahma gave the boons, he has to follow the boons. Because ultimately I used to think boons are the most important. But no, I mean, Lord Vishnu didn't have to follow any of those rules. Actually, it is mentioned in Bhagavatam. Prabhupada writes, all he has to do is come out from his heart. The Paramatma had to leave Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyakashipu would have died. But for the sake of the pastime, for all of us to have some story to discuss about, some lessons to learn from Hiranyakashipu, he appeared in the afternoon, fought with Hiranyakashipu till evening, Sandhya, around this time only. And then he took him to the entrance of the door, not inside, not outside. He put him on his lap, not in the sky, not on the floor. And he ripped open his tummy. And like a lion, of course, because for Vishnu, he was thinking, how dare this rascal demon who tortured my devotee. In that angry mood, actually, Narsimha Bhagavan, we all devotees worship Lord Narsimha for protection. In fact, it is mentioned in Brahma Samhita that Ganesha gets his power to remove obstacles from Lord Narsimhadev. So because Ganesh ji is a pure devotee of Lord Narsimha also. So Narsimhadev, he was in this mood, he was thinking, how dare this Hiranyakashipu give obstacles to my dear devotee Prahlad. So tearing apart his chest and tummy, he takes out his inner body parts and decorates his as garland as a lion. And then of course he not only destroys Hiranyakashipu, we didn't go through all the lessons, but Hiranyakashipu, one of the things he represents is our material mind. Our material mind is like Hiranyakashipu only. Give me more, give me more, give me more. So when Narsimhadev appears, he destroys this tendency in our minds. In our heart, when we pray, we become pure in our habits, in our thought process, in our practices, in our association. Then eventually, Lord Narsimhadev appears in our heart and destroys the 6 enemies: lust, anger, greed, envy, pride and jealousy. He destroys them, tears them apart. Not only that, he destroys all the other corollary aspects, like Narsimhadev destroyed all followers of Hiranyakashipu. And to his devotees, Lord Narsimhadev doesn't have the same ferocious form. He actually is so welcoming, putting Prahlad Maharaj on his lap and very peaceful. Narsimha Bhagavan ki jai. We'll take few reflections, as usual, few from this side, this side, this side, so maybe 3 and maybe more. We'll give priority for newcomers and children. Srikanji, if you want, but otherwise we will go in order. Okay, we will take one from this side. Please send it to Venuji and then he will decide who will. Yes, we want some representation. Go ahead.
Yeah. Telugu also, like whoever understand Telugu, there is just sloka in this verse. Indugalada anduleyadum sindi valadu చక్రి సర్వోపగతండు ఎందెందు వెతికినా వెతికి చూసినా అందందే కలడు దానవాగ్రిని వింటే. సో దానవాగ్రి మీన్స్ he is addressing Hiranyakashipu, the biggest demon. Hari is everywhere. He can look anywhere, and that was a very nice verse that I remember from childhood. Yeah, it's a very good story, and also pastimes, which I remembered. There is a big movie also in Telugu. It was many times. You can watch that. A lot of stories you can connect, and then whatever when you are saying, I joined late, but when you are saying, I was able to recollect everything within just minutes. Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing that verse also. Any other comments, questions, reflections from this side?
On a lighter note, whenever you say austerity, I was thinking of cost cutting companies are doing a headcount reductions in compulsory.
Austerities.
So you covered couple of things, especially, I think every one of us, right, thinks with respect to money, home, kids and all, I want a little bit more, a little bit better. So, and you kind of say, giving is, gives more joy than also.
Yeah, it's a very nice point. Thank you. Of course, these are again, may take many years for us to realize and even put into practice. But the first thing, one of the reasons, actually, the reasons why Hiranyakashipu did more austerities, so shouldn't he not get more? Why did Vishnu not give him bhakti? It is mentioned the most difficult thing to give up is actually our false ego. It's easier to do bodily austerities. Very difficult to give up our false ego. I know. That tendency is more difficult to give up for all living entities. So, whereas Prahlad, he didn't do much bodily austerities, but in his false ego point of view, he was thinking, I am a fallen soul, I am such a useless person. By the mercy of Krishna, we are able to do little bit. So that's his mood. So that's the contrasting difference. And so first step in any spiritual knowledge is to, again, we don't have to blindly accept, but we can try to understand this from an intellectual point of view, from observing others also, how this may be true. Is it true that if I get more material things, will I not be more happy? So, and then if we contemplate and observe and pray, Krishna, please, I am not able to understand. I get more ice creams, I feel more happy. I watch more Netflix, I feel more happy. I buy one more Tesla, why? New car is Tesla, no. No, I saw some new Tesla car. Cybertruck. New Tesla car, I feel more excited, more. So, please help me realize, help me understand. I don't want to become Hiranyakashipu after thousands of years later, come to this conclusion. Actually, this was useless. I want to come to the conclusion quickly. Thank you, Bhagavatam, for giving us that conclusion. So we want to understand. So we pray. That is our mood. And we don't artificially impose also. As I was mentioning, I am guilty of this to my parents and my friends also. Even before we realize, we hear something, we go and vomit that philosophy. What are you guys? These are all material things. We shouldn't be behind all these things. So we should be strict with ourselves, but compassionate to others. So that's a good austerity to practice. So, okay, thank you. Okay, we'll take one comment from this side. People in the intersections get double times. Someone has to represent, please. Yeah. Okay. Manjuji.
So while I was listening to the story, I was comparing to Ravana. So similar characteristics. So I literally was thinking, okay, same, but again, like kind of the era, like he has to again like killed by Rama. So always like good wins over the bad. So that's what I was thinking. And also I have a question, right? So we talk about soul all the time, but I know like for me, like I assume that soul doesn't have any gender, but I just want it doesn't have it. So I just want to make sure. Because
it is mentioned that when we leave the body, whatever consciousness we have, we attain it in the next life. So if we are, let's say, very much attached to our wife, and while leaving the body, we are thinking, oh, how will my wife live? Oh, she served me so much, whatever may be the consciousness. In our next life, we will take the birth of the husband, man becomes a woman, and vice versa also. And other cases are also possible. If I am very attached to sleeping, and then I become a bear, like that. So yeah. Soul has no gender. But soul, in the spiritual world, has a position. All of us in the spiritual world were originally some personality. And because of our misuse of minute independence, we are in this material world. The path of Krishna consciousness is not that we add something new. All we are doing through this process of spirituality and Krishna consciousness is we are removing the cloud that is covering our consciousness at this moment. And then as it uncovers, we see how Krishna is actually in everyone's heart, in every living entity's heart. And we will actually be able to see every so-called trouble or difficulty as a blessing from God. We will be able to see and be grateful. And so we will eventually, by gradual progression, we will eventually be able to realize our position in the spiritual world. And that position could be a male, animal, tree, could be anything. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Okay, one from this side.
Okay, so the dissatisfaction of Hiranyakasipu, right? I was connecting that with Alexander the Great, right? One of the reasons Alexander the Great came to look at for the sage, one of the reasons, right? He conquered almost all the world. He was progressing to conquer more, but he started feeling dissatisfied after conquering everything. Like he wanted, like after conquering all this, he was still dissatisfied. When he saw the sage, nothing, sitting in the hut, smiling and totally satisfied and happy, like he was like, how can he be like, because I have so much conquered and I'm still dissatisfied. That's one of the reasons he came in search. And that's the reason when he died, he instructed everyone to let his palm open-handed, like, doesn't matter how much you conquer, you get out of this world with nothing, kind of like, that's the message he wanted everyone to get. So that's one of the...
So those who are not familiar, actually, even though he conquered India, Alexander the Great died in India only. It is mentioned by a mosquito bite, by malaria or something like that. There is a joke. It says, army wasn't able to kill, but all it took is an Indian mosquito only. And then when he eventually died, he told his followers to put both his hands out from his casket to show that even though I conquered the entire world, look at my hands. I am not taking anything back with me. I am going empty-handed. Thank you for sharing this. Any more comments?
One more point. So, sorry, one more point. The first point you mentioned, right? So, the knowledge versus practice, right? Again, I'm connecting back with Ajay, right? So, when I go and teach and coach, they understand all the concepts. But when it comes to the reality, after sitting everything, they go back and repeat what they are doing. Like, if you're not making any change and practice this thing, you're not going to get better. Just because you sat in my class and learned all those things and understood everything, unless you go practice and realize, you're not going to get the benefit. So this is another thing which I coach my CEOs. Like, yeah, they really like, yes. But still, this is the problem with CEOs. They wanted the change, but they don't want to change. This is the first thing I say. If you're not going to change, you're not going to see the change, right? That reflection I got.
Definitely, the environment matters, Mataji, right? So even one person thinks also it will not happen.
All right. So as we are talking about practice, I don't know, I don't hear any signals from Shamakumari. Well, let us make use of her absence and do one quick 6 minutes of chanting. So I invite all of you to come closer so we won't be disturbed by kids. We will do maybe we'll do just 6 minutes of chanting, and you have few announcements to make also.
Do you want to stop? Say storage. Do you want to stop?
Yeah, so we can end the live stream.
Say storage. That's very important.
Yeah.
Okay.
End, right?
No, should we end or should we keep?
And you can